Welcome back to another episode of Watching the Game. I'm your host, Odeh, and I'm here joined as always by Yunis and Idrees. We ask you guys to please excuse our extended leave of absence. We've been very busy with school recently.
Ramadan.
Yeah, I know.
And life in general.
Yeah, damn. But after the amazing draft the Chicago Bears had this past weekend, right? We had to bring you guys a draft recap episode, and so what do you guys want? You guys want to start just with the Bears? You guys want to go like down the list?
I think we
talk
could
about the
say
first
for the
pick, second
Bears, we
pick.
could start with the Bears, and we could say they had the greatest draft of all time. Like
Yeah, I think we should
Listen.
always Ryan Pace's job on the line.
I mean, this is
All right.
this is a 6 Super Bowls type of draft right here.
That 48-hour stretch of Friday when Aaron Rodgers announced he doesn't want to play, and then Friday getting Fields, and then Saturday getting Tevin Jenkins. That was like the best 48-hour stretch of all time as a Chicago Bears fan. At least in our lives.
Like, this is an absolute snipe. Like I was trying to keep my expectations low, but I was like, we'll get a pretty decent offensive tackle or wide receiver. And then Sunday, they come out with the report. It's like, the 49ers are only deciding between Trey Lance and Mac Jones. And suddenly, in the back of my mind, I'm like, you know what? Maybe the Bears can get Justin Fields. Just maybe. Just maybe. I was like, it's not going to happen. The Panthers will take him, or the Broncos will take him. Next thing you know, he's still on the board. I'm telling myself the Bears need to trade up. What are they taking so long? I get the alert. The Giants are trading their pick to the Bears, and it all happened. Though in the back of my mind, I was scared they were going to pick Mac Jones.
Me too, bro. I swear.
Yeah, man. I was afraid that either coming into the draft, I was thinking, if we draft a quarterback, it's either, the only people that are going to be on the board would be like Kellen Mond or even Ian Book. Man, the change of events.
Ian Book, really? Or Davis Mills? Ugh.
It's someone the Bears would draft. Do you know that?
I would have shot someone if that happened.
I don't know about you guys, but as soon as they said Chicago Bears select Justin Fields, it was just like a shock of joy.
This changes everything for the Bears because they get second best quarterback in the draft who's very close to being as good as Trevor Lawrence. They have their franchise QB, and it's like, the whole problem with the team was, look, they have a pretty decent roster, but it's not good enough, and it has no QB, and you're going to be stuck where you're going to be picking in the middle, and you're not going to be able to get a QB, something like that. That's no longer the case. They don't have to worry about that. They don't have to worry about tanking or trying to get a good QB. They got their guy.
And they have the weapons around him. Pace went after a good amount of free agents this offseason.
There's a much better situation for him to... First of all, he's a much better prospect than Trubisky in every way. More starts, younger, more yards, more touchdowns,
Just
better polish,
better overall.
athleticism. And he's going to have a better offense around him. Not an amazing offense, but,
but compared to what Trubisky came into,
the only thing comparable...
It's an amazing offense.
The only thing comparable is the running backs. Because Trubisky had Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen, and Fields is going to have Montgomery and Cohen. So that's basically a wash. But it's like everything else. Oof. Trubisky's receivers were going to be Cameron Meredith and Kevin White. And then they both got injured. So it was Marcus Wheaton and Kendall Wright. That is
What a painful time.
Now he
Benny Cunningham also played slot.
Now he has Robinson, Mooney,
I
and
have
Miller.
Allen Robinson, who's top 10. Darnell Mooney, who was a top 10 rookie last year, and then Anthony Miller, who can be solid.
Darnell
And even if
Mooney, I'm going to say this. Darnell Mooney and Justin Fields duo, it's going to be like Russell Wilson and Tyler Lockett.
I think so,
Oh,
I
that's a
can see
good
that.
comparison.
I could see it honestly.
Like, oof, not this year. He's going to take his time. But next year, buy stock into Darnell Mooney. Tight end.
If you look at the free agents that Pace signed, I mean, at receiver, none of them are too big. They're all speedsters, you know? They got the Mary Bird yesterday, Marquise Goodwin. They drafted Daz Newsome.
There's more speed on the
Right, yeah,
team
I
than
just
there was
realized
last
that
year.
we have so much speed in our wide receiving core.
We're not going to be relying on Javon Wims and Riley Ridley. Ugh,
Yeah,
Javon Wims. Why is Javon Wims
that's huge too. Our depth is
Carmel?
going to be insane.
Tight end, I mean, Cole Kmet, Jimmy Graham. At least you have two competent tight ends.
I still believe in Cole Kmet. I think Cole Kmet could still be really, really good.
With Trubisky,
I see a bright future in him.
you had Zach Miller, who was probably better than those guys, but like they had no second tight end. And then the offensive line, the offensive line is a little better than it was with Trubisky because it was full of injury-prone players.
Offensive line is going to have three anchors now with for the future with James Daniels, Tevin Jenkins, and Cody Whitehair.
Yeah, and it played way better at the end of the season without even Daniels. So I think you're looking
Right.
obviously Leno is gone, so Jenkins he'll struggle the first few games. But he
As
should be good
expected.
at left tackle for a long time.
You
Especially
guys
with
think
the experienced Cody Whitehair there at left guard.
My question is,
you think
do you guys think?
Ifedi's still going to start, or you think Borum's going to take a step?
Yeah.
I think,
Fifth round rookie, yeah, he's gonna be on the bench for now.
yeah.
If Eddie
For-
was good enough. If you look at the numbers between Ifedi and Leno, they were actually pretty similar last year. I think Ifedi was way better than Massey too, so it's still an upgrade.
Hey, Bobby Massey. I hate that man.
But just yeah, I would say getting Jenkins was also great because we're talking about a guy a lot of people would have been like cool if the Bears got him at number 20. And then they got him at number 39 in the second round after they got a QB. Now, it sucked to give up the third round pick, but with the draft they have two franchise cornerstones for the next 10 years. I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, same here.
The other picks, they're intriguing. I think Borum, he's gonna be a good guard or tackle. Herbert is going to be their kick returner probably, but the running back room is stacked. He's not going to be needed really.
Yeah, it's absolutely stacked.
Yeah, we had Damian Williams. We signed him this offseason, so there's no room for him.
Daz Newsome's probably going to be like the fourth or fifth receiver. He's not going to get a lot of snaps. Khairis Tonga, good addition to the D-line rotation because they lost Urban and Roy Robertson-Harris.
He'll learn from Hakeem. Mac, take a few tips here and there.
They also got Charles Snowden as a UDFA. He's like a poor man's Leonard Floyd, so I like that.
And we also drafted Thomas Graham Jr.
Thomas Graham Jr. could be, if they don't sign another corner, he could start at the nickel immediately. I think he was also a steal. So, that was a great draft for the Bears. Their entire outlook changes now. They cut
Now
Leno
I'm actually
yesterday.
excited for the season.
There were people getting annoyed about cutting Leno, which I get because he was average. At least he was playing well. But the idea is the Bears, they might win the division this year, but they're not going to win the Super Bowl this year. So they should focus on developing this year, and then next year go all in. They could definitely win the division, though, if
Agreed.
Aaron Rodgers is gone.
Yeah, about
I
that
mean,
Aaron
honestly, if
Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers, if he doesn't play, then I think Justin Fields slash Andy Dalton is like the best quarterback in the division, which is crazy to say, but
Andy Dalton isn't better than Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
I mean,
No. I don't think Kirk Cousins is that good, but he's definitely better than Andy Dalton.
There's a few, solid games, but I mean, he's a decent quarterback, mediocre.
true.
The Vikings are pretty good. I mean, like, you want to talk about their draft. They traded down, they got 2 third-round picks, and they still got the offensive lineman they wanted. That's how you do the draft.
They also drafted Kellen Mond as a backup to Kirk. Because, I mean, if you think about it, Kirk had like 2, maybe 3 years left in him.
That was kind of weird. But also, Kirk Cousins, his contract next year is like a $45 million cap hit. It's kind of ridiculous. So they might be starting to think of his replacement.
Yeah, they should.
They also got they got 2 starting caliber O linemen in Darisaw and Wyatt Davis. So that's what you call a very successful draft too. I think the Vikings are probably honestly, I could say the Vikings might win the division too, because if Cousins plays at least fine like he usually does, Dalvin Cook will be back, Jefferson, Thielen, Irv Smith, he'll be better this year. They obviously worked on the offensive line. They signed Patrick Peterson and Dalvin Tomlinson, and Michael Pierce will be back. So, and Anthony Barr too, and Daniel Hunt. Oh my God, they're gonna be really good this year. Actually, they still went 7-9 last year with all those injuries.
True. Honestly, yeah, I can see him bouncing back, winning the division this year. The division literally this year depends on Aaron Rodgers. Like, if Aaron Rodgers actually plays for the Packers, then the Packers will win the division. But if he doesn't, then it's wide open.
But if he,
I mean, I would expect it to be between the Bears and Vikings, but I mean, Detroit doesn't really have potential.
I mean,
Detroit,
even then,
long rebuild for Detroit. They're not going to compete this year. They're a bottom 5 team this year. Even though a lot of people said they had a good draft, which they did, but it's going to take more than one good draft to turn this around.
I love that. I love the Sewell pick.
I was
lucky that
convinced
he drafted him.
I was convinced they would trade down with the Patriots, and the Patriots would pick Fields. Thank God that didn't happen. But Sewell's going to be. They have the one thing they do have, a very good offense.
Matt Patricia. Yeah, especially with Sewell now. But that's where you want to start to build. That's where you want to build your team, a good offensive line, and then you can start venturing out to the skill positions.
They're gonna make the Lions-Rams game like a primetime game, and I honestly want to see that.
Especially if Fields gets the starting spot later in the season.
Isn't the schedule announced soon?
Next week.
Oh.
The Packers draft. It was fine, but
they finally drafted a corner.
Stokes is he's pretty good, but they kind of reached for him. There were 4 consensus first round cornerbacks. They all went before the Packers pick, so the Packers reached for Stokes. He's still better than Kevin King, but I wouldn't have done that. And then they picked Josh Myers over Creed Humphrey for some reason. Big mistake. Amari Rodgers.
They also could have easily could have got JOK, but they decided not to.
That would have also been very
which
good.
would have helped them.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they should have totally picked JOK. He would have been a very good fit for them.
Mm-hmm.
They
Talk.
drafted Amari Rogers in the third round, receiver from
Rogers
Clemson.
was a good pick, just so they have an
Yeah,
A
I like
Rogers
that
on their
pick.
team. They need to make sure. They're like, listen, we promised you A Rogers would be back this year, and A Rogers is back. I really hope Denver trades for Rogers. Like, they could offer like Surtain, a first next year, Drew Lock, and then a second, and they could probably get him.
It could be worth it. Because honestly, I was thinking about this. What team does Aaron Rodgers go on and they're not immediately a playoff contender, if not a Super Bowl contender? Like, you guys think there's any team that he goes on that isn't? Maybe.
Probably.
Houston.
Honestly, that might be the only team.
Yeah, Houston maybe.
I don't know. Houston, I mean, Sean Watson won a few games with them. Maybe Houston and Detroit. That's probably like the only two teams that aren't immediate playoff teams.
Yeah.
With Aaron Rodgers.
That's why, like, 49ers tried to get him. They were kind of rebuffed. So, the problem is, at this point, I don't know which teams would go after him. Like, besides the Broncos, Carolina just traded for Sam Darnold.
And passed up on Justin Fields. So he's their guy.
I mean, the Raiders still have Derek Carr, but I could see them ditching him for Rodgers. Besides that, there's not that many teams. I think if he gets traded, it's definitely going to be Denver. There just aren't that many other teams that would make sense.
They would probably give up Bridgewater as well.
They would only give one QB. Either Lock or Bridgewater. Neither is that good.
Sure.
Because they're still trying to play Jordan Love, allegedly. No one knows if that guy is good or not. He's probably not good.
That would be so funny if he's bad.
Let's see. Let's talk about some other picks we like. I like the Browns draft a lot. Greg Newsome, he can start at corner right away across from Denzel Ward. JOK, big steal, obviously. Adds to their defense. They kind of need a linebacker. Anthony Schwartz, I mean, he's really fast, but he's not anything special. James Hudson's a good offensive tackle, though.
What do you guys think? With the draft winners, let's talk about some draft losers. What do you guys think?
Like I said, winner Browns. Broncos. I would only say the Broncos are a winner if they get Rodgers. Otherwise, they're a loser. Because you passed up on Fields for a cornerback, which isn't really a need right now. They traded up for a running back in the second round.
Which honestly isn't any either because you have Melvin Gordon, Phillip Lindsay, and
Lindsay is gone.
Oh, wait.
But it's like, you don't...
Lindsay is gone.
You shouldn't trade up for a running back either. Either way.
Wait, why are you guys like the most replaceable position?
I liked their other picks besides that. Quinn Miners, Baron Browning, Jamar Johnson, Kerry Vincent. Those are good players, but it's like, are we sure that you shouldn't have picked Justin Fields? Because I think with any good QB, they're a Super Bowl contender. They have a very good team.
The defense is really good, yeah. With Cortland Sutton,
They're more of a defensive team.
They can stay healthy together.
They could be in basically the
That's
same
it.
position as the Bears this year, where they pick in like the middle of the first round, and they need to trade up for a QB. A QB falls, and they trade up for him. Because even with Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater, they're gonna win a few games. They just won't compete for like the playoffs. Other winners and losers.
Losers, I'm definitely gonna go with the Texans.
Yes.
They drafted Davis Mills in the third round. Nico Collins.
No picks, and they decided their first pick would be a QB who's not very good, and what you're gonna probably have the number one pick next year, so it's a wasted pick because you'll pick a quarterback first next year, right?
Yeah, I would assume so.
Assuming Watson is gone, either suspended or traded. Tyrod Taylor, obviously we know he's just there. Like, Davis Mills is not gonna do anything. They also traded a pick for Ryan Finley. Why? It's like they just watched that one Steelers game. They were like, whoa, this guy's amazing.
Dude, he didn't even play like that good in that game. Just happened to get a little bit lucky.
They took two defensive draft picks which didn't really address their defensive issues. They got linebacker Garrett Wallow.
They also traded up for Nico Collins, who hasn't played football in a year. He's good, but he's not amazing. And it's like, you barely have any picks, and you're really trading up for this receiver who had one okay year. I didn't like it. Though Brevin Jordan is good, though. You know who else is...
So, in turn... Go ahead.
James Robinson. Absolutely screwed over by the Jaguars.
Oh yeah. The Jaguars are absolute idiots. I'm not gonna lie to you.
They had Travis Etienne.
Why would you draft a running back in the first round when you have a guy who filled in the spot amazingly last year? Like, you're a rebuilding team, bro. Like, fill in your holes. Like, why would you draft a running back, the most replaceable position?
Dude, it's actually hilarious because everyone was just smoking. Like, so they picked Leonard Fournette. And Leonard Fournette had a great rookie year, and everyone was like, see, you can pick running backs early in the first round. Then he proceeded to be bad the next 2 years, and then they released him, they got nothing for him, and James Robinson was way better last year. And their response is, yeah, let's draft a running back in the first round again. What? I know the GM and the head coach aren't the same, but still, what? This is all Urban Meyer. Just like, oh, I want this flashy guy instead of someone who will actually help.
Mm-hmm.
He said, he said he wanted Kadarius Toney, which would have made more sense, but still. That doesn't mean you suddenly pick a running back.
100%. Like, just foolish. Which then brings me to another loser. The Steelers, who also drafted a running back. The pick before them, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They had the 24th pick.
Yeah, it was the pick before them.
Like, Najee Harris is a good player, but
they have no one to block for him.
Yeah, exactly. If they really wanted Najee Harris, they should have tried trading down, and then they could have still gotten him. Get more picks. I don't know about their draft. Their draft is weird. Then they picked a tight end, which I know Eric Ebron has his dropping problems, but he's okay there. They have bigger needs than tight end, I would think. Kendrick.
Yeah, aren't you guys surprised they didn't draft a backup quarterback for Big Ben?
If they decided it's like, okay, none of the quarterbacks at this point are good. Maybe they were just not sold on Kellen Mond, Davis Mills, or Kyle Trask. Or they were like, we'll pick them in the third round, but at that point they were all gone. I'm fine with it, but they need to be like start planning now. Like next year, we have to get our QB.
I mean, they still have Mason Rudolph and Joshua Dobbs under contract.
Josh
Irrelevant.
Dobbs is
They're
buns. So
garbage.
was Mason Rudolph.
Mason Rudolph is the worst quarterback of all time.
I mean, as
Go
backups,
that
I'm
far,
not saying
but-
they're your future starters, but like for now, for this year,
At least I think the Steelers' last 3 picks were good. Quincy Roche, that's a steal. Trey Norwood, that's a steal. And they got the big 250-pound punter with their last pick, bro. This guy is my favorite player. Pressley Harvin III, bro. This guy is going to be the best punter in the league this year. Watch. And they're going to be punting a lot, so they need him.
interesting. So I have a question for you guys. So do you guys consider Dallas as a winner or a loser after this draft?
Loser. Kind of.
They had a couple notable draft picks. Micah Parsons in the first round. Jabril Cox in the fourth.
So I would say they're somewhere in the middle. Mike Parsons is obviously great. He's very good, but linebacker. I mean, they clearly wanted a corner in the first. They didn't get a corner, so they ended up getting
They took
Kelvin
Kelvin
Joseph.
Joseph in the
Who's
second.
good, but you could do better than Kelvin Joseph. They got a defensive tackle. They picked literally all defense.
Yeah, one guard, a receiver, and a tackle.
They picked this dude Nashawn Wright, big reach, but then their next pick was Jabril Cox, who was a steal. So I really think they were somewhere in the middle. They could have probably gone after another offensive lineman too. They were like meh, I guess.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle. I see too. How about the Falcons? What do you guys think of their draft? They took hits in the first. Who else did they
Bro,
take?
I am so excited to see the Falcons offense. Like,
The offense is going to be ridiculous.
I know they have no defense still, and that's gonna probably be why they're not that good this year, but oh my god, their offense is gonna be so they're gonna have the top passing offense in the league. Like, Matt Ryan can still sling it. Julio, Ridley, Russell Gage, the best receiving trio in the league. Pitts could be a top 10 tight end by the end of the season. Hayden Hurst is pretty good. Offensive line isn't bad, but at least it's not It's not. As long as it's not bad, they have a chance there.
It's in no means bad. Like, it's not great.
And then Mike Davis is gonna be solid at running back. So they're gonna try to win every game 42 to 38. But I think
that offense is gonna be insane. I'm excited to watch them because it's just so many weapons.
Yeah, I'm also like, they could have picked Fields and I would have been fine with it, but I totally get trying to go all in with your last few years of Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. I would say they should have used every single one of their picks on defense, though. After Pitts, they should have just been defense.
They drafted a guard, receiver as well.
Let's talk about the 49ers. Obviously, the biggest wild cards at the draft. Was Trey Lance the right decision?
Trey Lance over Mac Jones, 100%.
All right, how about Trey Lance over Justin Fields though?
I missed out on
That
Fields.
one's an L. I
Yeah,
don't
that
even know
one's an
why I
L
didn't
for
take
them.
Justin Fields. I don't even know why. I don't know how Justin Fields wasn't even like in consideration.
I think they were. I think he was. I think the Mac Jones was all speculation. It was just like it just came out of nowhere and everyone just bought it. Sometimes that happens every year in the draft, where one guy just randomly rises and people are like, "Whoa, he's really gonna go this high," and then he drops, and we're like, "Wait, why did he drop?" It's like we overhyped him for no reason.
I think the Niners had a good draft as well. I mean, took a quarterback in the first. They took another guard from Notre Dame in the second. Drafted an underrated Trey Sermon in the third, which is a steal.
I don't like the Trey Sermon pick. They traded up for him.
Oh,
This is the
that's
team that has literally churned out undrafted free agents into insane running backs. And they decided to trade up for Trey Sermon and then pick another running back later in the draft. Why? They at
goofiness.
least picked two cornerbacks, which they needed because Sherman is gone.
They should have addressed some issues on wide receiver. I mean, they have Debo Samuel. That's
Yeah,
basically it.
number
And
three
tight end,
slot receiver would have been something to target too, because obviously Ayuk and Samuel are very good, but besides that, it's like, eh, who do they have? Because Bourne is gone. Richie James, he's not a good receiver. He's only a good returner. Hamed Sanu,
He had that one really good game. He had the one good game against the Packers.
Jalen Hurd.
they
I swear they think
actually
Jalen Hurd's gonna
lost.
come back. Dude is always injured.
They lost. They actually got back Sanu from the Lions.
I like Sanu, but dude has not been good the last few years, so I
Yeah,
wouldn't count on it. All right, let's.
I mean, with the Niners defense, you think they'll be back to where they were 2019?
Um, their division is a bloodbath, but if I were to say, I would say right now they would be. It's early. I would say they would be somewhere in the middle, where so they were 6-10 last year. They were 13-3 the year before. I think they would be like not 9-8, 10-7 ish this year. Though I still think it's a little early. A winner because we've been coming up with a bunch of losers. The Panthers. Like, okay, I know. I'm just gonna let's pretend. Let's ignore the QB thing for a second. Obviously, picking Darnold over Justin Fields is incredibly stupid. But let's pretend that doesn't happen. J.C. Horn, fantastic cornerback. They needed another guy. Terrace Marshall, a steal. I mean, obviously losing Curtis Samuel hurts, but now you have your burner in
Now you got a
Robbie
somewhat of a
Anderson.
replacement.
Yeah, you got your burner in Robbie Anderson. You got your possession guy in DJ Moore. Now you got a big jump ball guy in Terrace Marshall. So that should help. Brady Christensen, good offensive tackle. They needed him. Tommy Tremble, it's That one I didn't really like that much because I thought Brevin Jordan was better. He would be better at tight end, but they definitely needed to draft a tight end. Chuba Hubbard, good backup running back to McCaffrey. Davion Nixon was a steal. This guy was a beast for Iowa. I don't know how he fell so far. Keith Smith, he was really good at the Senior Bowl. And Deontay Brown. You see the picture of Deontay Brown in the national championship? Dude is huge.
Good.
So I thought they had a really good draft. The only problem is their quarterback is Sam Darnold. So honestly, what they should hope is the rest of their team looks
Bro,
good.
honestly,
Darnold sucks, and then they could draft a QB next year. Yeah, what were you saying?
my thing is
They also,
like
yeah, go ahead.
Darnold is in like such a better situation with, now with the Panthers and with the Jets that maybe he like somehow has like an average season. I mean, he can easily become like an average starter now that he has so many weapons.
He
He
could.
has
You
some potential
compare
in
like
him. I
side by
mean,
side.
I just think at this point,
compared to last year, he has some weapons in Carolina.
like last year, his only weapon with the Jets that was consistent was Jamison Crowder. So that's fair. Like, he definitely didn't have help around him with the Jets, but I keep saying this. If a quarterback doesn't show any promise, I don't care how bad the situation is around him, he's not good. Now, you could put him in a good situation and he'll play competently, but he's never going to be good. He's never going to be the reason you're winning games, you know? Like, even the worst even like very good quarterbacks will always do very well no matter the situation. Case in point, Deshaun Watson last year. Terrible team. He still went out and did his thing, but the rest of his team was so bad they only won 4 games. Darnold is like Mark Sanchez, where he might look better in a good situation, but like opposite. So Mark Sanchez, he looked good his first couple of years because the weapons around him were good, and then they got worse, and then he just fell off. Darnold might look better, but he's still not going to look to where you're like, okay, we should stick with this guy instead of trying to draft a new QB, you know?
Fair point.
It just still stuns me. He's literally... It's kind of funny. You could say the 2 worst starting QBs in the NFL last year were Carson Wentz and Sam Darnold, and one got traded for a first-round pick, one got traded for a second-round pick. That's kind of funny.
Oh. Who's the quarterbacks next year? Are they solid? Because I saw like a mock draft with them of the
So
quarterbacks
next
next
year,
year.
Spencer Rattler.
I recognize some names. But like this year, the names that I recognize weren't even that solid.
Next year, I think a big one is Spencer Rattler. I think DJ will declare for the draft.
You said who?
So
DJ, the quarterback for Clemson.
no, he's not.
Maybe I don't know.
I don't think he's.
I don't think he's gonna be eligible.
He's only second year. He's 2023.
Oh,
All right, the guys next year you have obviously Rattler, a lot of hype around him. Sam Howell. After that, it's kind of like a lot of question marks. JT Daniels, Carson Strong, Malik Willis, Jaden Daniels. There's good players. I think if every guy, if like right now there's a chance there could be another like 5 QBs picked in the first, but it's still early. It's kind of funny because I was reading a lot of stuff that was saying, oh, the 2022 QB class is super weak. But then now that this draft is over, a bunch of people are like, actually, it looks pretty good. So we'll see. Either way, it's still gonna be
It'll just depend on how the season plays out.
Yeah, I think right now.
Because every year you have like, let's say every year you have those QBs that like come out of nowhere. Like 2 years ago it was Joe Burrow, and this year it was Trey Lance and Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
And who knows who it'll be next year.
I could like Jaden Daniels. I like him a lot. I could see him doing that. Malik Willis. But obviously you can't be just betting on like if you're running your NFL team with the thought, oh, I saw Sam Howell, I can't wait till I can get him next year. It's like you gotta chill. You need to wait, see what happens this season in both college and the NFL, and then decide. Speaking of another loser,
Agreed.
I think the Colts were also losers. Um,
You don't like the Quiddy? You don't like the Quiddy Pay
I
pick?
like the Quiddy Pay pick, but besides that, I didn't like what they did. Um, they picked another edge in the second round who is probably not gonna play most of this year because he tore his Achilles.
Ugh.
Kylan Granson, a tight end in the fourth round because they didn't have a third round pick. I would have picked Brevin Jordan over him, and I mean they have Mo Alley Cox and Jack Doyle at tight end. They really need to make that their next pick. They have a big hole at left tackle and they didn't fill it. Is basically my problem.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Colts as a team, where do you guys see some weaknesses in their team? Their defense is outstanding. Offense, maybe just the tackle position with injuries.
So
Receiver as well.
No, I think they're fine at receiver. To be honest, I liked Pittman last year. He showed a lot of promise.
I would say so. You got Wentz. Obviously, that's a big question mark, but they have faith in him. Running back, they're fine. They're very good at running back. I think they should have gotten like a receiver higher than the seventh round, but
Probably.
like you said, like Hilton. Well, Hilton is washed, so I'm not.
Yeah,
They they
Hilton's
shouldn't
getting
count
old,
on
which
him.
is sad.
Like now that I think about it,
Yeah.
they should have picked with their fourth round pick. They should have picked a receiver because it's like Pittman is good, Campo is inconsistent, Pascal is good, but like they have no one besides that.
Didn't they also draft Ellinger at quarterback?
Yeah, but he's not. He's gonna be like their third string. Actually, I mean, they are screwed. They are. I guess you could say this for every team, but they're extra screwed if Carson Wentz goes down. They'd have to start Jacob Eason or Sam Ellinger.
Sammy Heisman, beast.
No, he's terrible.
What about Jacoby Brissett?
He's on the Dolphins now.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least they got Quiddy Pay because Justin Houston's still a free agent. He might go to the Ravens, so they needed an edge.
hmm
So he'll slot in good. They're gonna win their division. They'll be fine, but there's more they could have done. I feel like. All right, one more loser before we get some more winners. The Saints.
Anything else?
I didn't like what the Saints did.
Why is that?
This Payne Turner guy reach to me. They needed an edge for sure, but they reached for this guy over like Jason Owa, for example. And then they picked a linebacker. You have more pressing needs than linebacker in the second round. And they traded up for Paulson Adebo, who's good, but they barely have any picks. They should have kept their picks. And then they picked Ian Book for some reason.
He's the future.
It's like wait, he's not that good. Why don't you at least try to help Jameis Winston out, not pick a quarterback? All right,
It'll be interesting to see what they do this season.
I'm being too negative. Somebody give me a winner.
Let's see.
Let's think of one on top of my head.
The Jets. I think the Jets.
Actually, how do you guys see the Jets? Yeah.
Well, I think we'll look back on this and we'll say Zach Wilson is good, but Justin Fields is better. So kind of a mistake at number 2. But for the sake of discussion, I think I like their draft. Besides that, they got Elijah Vera Tucker is very good, though they did trade 2 third-round picks to get him. Elijah Moore is gonna be very good in the slot for them. Like
Yeah, I like the Elijah Moore pick.
Like suddenly their receivers are competent. Last year they had only Crowder. This year Denzel Mims gets healthy. They have Elijah Moore. They have Corey Davis. Michael Carter in the 4th round. Take this name right now. Michael Carter for fantasy. The Jets have no running backs. He's going to be their best running back, like, immediately.
Over Frank Gore, the aging.
Man, Frank
Okay,
Gore,
man.
this dude,
70,000 years old.
he's not even good anymore. It's just impressive that he's still on teams at this point. And then I also thought Hamza Nasruddin was a steal. So I think their draft was good.
Dude, but I will say this about the draft. The draft made me like so excited for the NFL season. Like, cause before the draft, I don't know about you guys, but like I was not looking forward to watching damn Andy Dalton all season. But like this draft, like actually gave me something to look forward to, and now I'm excited for the season, like I usually am.
Yeah, it gave us hope in this team, and that they still have something left, and some. I mean, they could make a playoff run. I don't know about a Super Bowl run, but I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
better than what we saw.
Like now, there's reason to believe the Chicago Bears will be very good, very relevant, very soon. Whereas we thought a second, like before last week, we were like, oh, they're starting a downward trend, and they're gonna have to end up doing a long rebuild. Now that's no longer the case. Inshallah.
Mm-hmm.
As long as Justin Fields lives up to the hype, we got our franchise QB for 15 years.
Hope he doesn't sell.
Not a chance.
Hope he doesn't suck, man. Oh god.
La samahallah.
Yeah, I think we're good now.
Yeah, I think we will be back next week or the week after. I don't know when the NBA play-in starts.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see you guys.
Till next time.
So.